Hello guys, welcome. This is Candid Conversations with Caroline and Chris.
Hello.
And we just want to say thank you. Hi Caroline.
Hello.
So we want to say thank you to all the subscribers of our YouTube channel. And what else do you want to say?
The support, and I love the feedback on the comment section. I love that there are people even via text or Facebook and Instagram are suggesting the kind of topics they would like us to discuss. So it's amazing that also some content is coming from you, which is, it's growth and it's a good thing. We are thankful.
Absolutely, absolutely. Without you guys, our audience, we wouldn't be doing this as much as we are. And we want to just tell you that we appreciate you so much. And we want to say that keep sharing these videos with your people so that they get this information. At the end of the day, we want to reach as many people as we can. And we hope to keep on, getting your support.
Yeah.
And as well as, understanding some of these issues that we go through in a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So remember, like, share, comment, subscribe. That is our key thing. Mm-hmm. And we have some guests, of course, who will be showcasing the amazing information for you. Mm-hmm. We have, I think you're going to be talking to Esther as well. What are you going to be talking to?
We have Esther, and we're going to talk about grief, and it's a different angle on grief.
On grief.
Yeah. It's a different angle.
I'll also be talking to a gentleman by the name Kevin, and we're going to be talking on childhood traumas and how that eventually affects you in future, and just what you need to understand about all that. Mm-hmm. So those episodes are coming up. Watch this space, and of course, enjoy. Hi guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. This is Candid Conversations with Caroline and Chris. And today I have a certain gentleman who's going to introduce himself, tell us a bit about who he is. But today we're going to be talking about childhood traumas and how that affects you in future, and how maybe best to approach any traumas that you faced when you were a child. So, hello sir, how are you? Unaendelea vizuri? Uko salama?
Kabisa.
Umeenjoy pizza, iko sawa?
Iko sawa kabisa.
Thank you very much.
Nasikia ni introduce.
Sawa.
So my name is Kevin Karuga. I work with Family Health Options Kenya as a coordinator for youth programs. And I'm glad to be here with Chris today to talk about childhood trauma.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for actually taking time to come.
Yeah.
And before we begin, just an understanding. According to you, what do we mean when we say trauma? What is trauma basically for someone who doesn't understand that term?
Okay, that term, I know most people are common. They are used to the term stress. So I can use the word stress to define the word trauma. So trauma is excessive or a high magnitude of stress that someone experiences. Yeah, I can rank stress as mild, but trauma is something that
extreme.
Is so extreme. Yeah,
okay.
to an individual.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's an element of time as well. It takes
exactly, and then there is an element of time because it takes time for it to build up. Yeah.
So we're focusing more on children.
Yes.
Because we believe children are essential, and that at that young age, there's a lot that's happening. Mm-hmm. So what are some of these childhood traumas that we have around here?
So I can start by defining childhood trauma. Childhood trauma is an experience or an event that a child undergoes when they are still children that has an adverse effect to their life. It threatens their body integrity, both physical and it can also be mental.
Sure.
So we have different types of childhood traumas that children go through. One of them is sexual. It's one of the most common, but mostly it's absorbed by the term sexual violence. Mostly it's taken in, though childhood trauma stands out as something different when you talk about sexual abuse. And then we have the physical. Physical is now the one that where the body is harmed, and it's something that affects them also psychological. So those are some of the forms of childhood traumas that we have. Yeah.
Wonderful. So, in this aspect of childhood traumas and understanding how the implications, for instance, let's talk about, for instance, sexual violence.
Yeah.
You see, there are a lot of people probably even watching this channel, and they went through some sort of sexual violence when they were young.
Yes, yes.
I remember, for instance, that story of Chester Barrington from Linkin Park.
Yeah, yeah.
They said, I'm not too sure, but it was said that he had experienced some traumatic childhood experience that was related to sexual violence.
Yes.
And he was able to live a long period of time, and he could not really get over it.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
from his music, you could see that songs like Numb, songs like Crawling, he's trying to communicate something.
Yes.
So what are some of the ways you can identify that someone has experienced some sort of traumatic experience when they were young?
I can say, using your examples, Chester is one of my favorite rock artists, and it's so unfortunate that he had to commit suicide because of what happened when he was young. So I can say it is not quite easy to look at someone and tell they had experience of childhood trauma when they were young. But if we can document the history. In our context in Kenya, such things are not well documented. But when you look at R. Kelly, or whatever is happening to him right now, they say it's attributed to what he experienced when he was a child.
Yes.
It is well documented. And there's a way they come out and share their history. But in our context, it's very hard because of maybe our structures, the health structures. We concentrate so much on the physical, but not the psychological part. But you can tell by the experiences that this person is also manifesting when they're adults, especially in the activities they normally do during their leisure time. You can also try and get some history from their personality traits. Some of them tend to be so much introverted, the way they interact with other people, and the things that they stand for. Sometimes people communicate. We say non-verbal communication is very essential.
Sure.
Though we concentrate so much on
The verbal, yes.
But you can tell if someone is a poet, they'll tend to lean in one theme of the poetry that they are writing. If someone is a musician, you can tell from their lyrics. Though they can say it's being diverse, exploring other topics, but you can always tell, like from Chester, like you can listen to a song like One More Light, you can listen to a song like Heavy, especially Heavy.
Heavy was like a communication. He was telling us.
Yeah, they were communicating, and even the video. So it's easy to say this is art, this is expression, but sometimes you need to take a step further. The colleagues were saying he used to talk about such issues, but they were not so keen about it.
Yeah.
They knew it's music, it's message, trying to communicate outside there. And then, even in this show, you can already tell we are using examples from US. That tells you their cases are well documented.
Yeah.
In Kenya, someone just commits suicide. They say, it is family issues.
Witchcraft,
stress, drug and substance abuse. But maybe there's a history.
There's the root cause.
There's the root cause that mostly don't talk about. Or it is a taboo to talk about them. It's a shame to families, saying that I was molested when I was young. And these are experiences I've seen. even when I was young, in primary school, I had friends who were forced to have sex with their house helps. And it's something we came out, we talked about as young kids. It was funny, but you don't know how it ends up when they become adults.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even men, when they eventually go into relationships and marriages,
Yes.
years and years afterwards, they still have that lingering
Yeah, it keeps coming back.
in the back of their minds.
It keeps coming back.
Amazing, amazing.
It's also evident in how we use substances like alcohol. Some people drink to celebrate. Some people drink because they are stressed.
They're drowning their
People-
sorrows.
Yeah, just drowning their sorrows.
It's true. It's true.
And the other thing that I wanted to share also is that these experiences in our Kenyan context, the media started reporting them. Civil society organizations and NGOs dealing with gender-based violence, sexual gender-based violence, children, they are now starting to talk about these experiences. Like recently you saw in the news, a woman was found with, I don't know, it was 40 teenagers. Some of them were children. They were saying it's between 13 to 7 years. They were having fun, they were having sex, they were taking alcohol. You see, such experiences will reoccur maybe in future. And some of them go as young as 5 years. If the father and mother are fighting at home, that is something that can end up causing child trauma. And these people become violent.
I remember even there was that case of that orphanage
Yes.
in Kenya,
Yeah.
where there was the caregiver was taking advantage of those orphan boys and
Yeah.
girls. And this is something serious because a child has just started living. They have not even experienced life to the fullest. And then they get hit with something so traumatic that some of them shut down. Some of them even, resort to violent, extreme measures. And, it's something that I feel like we should be talking about more often,
Yeah.
especially in our homes. You will find that kid of yours mwenye ametulia tu, you're wondering why is this child always so isolated, maybe compared to the rest. There's probably something there.
Yeah, there's always something.
There's always something there. Let's go to the parents a bit.
Yes.
We talked about a previous episode, which you should all check out, on parenting and how that affects the way we behave and the way we grow up. So parents, what role do they have to play?
Parents have the biggest role to play, especially now that they're the ones who, they're the owners of the child. Like
Sure.
they're the ones who give
Are
birth to the
responsible
child,
for them.
They're responsible. They're the ones who feed them. Even personality, some of the traits we learn from our parents. So the role of parents is very vital, especially the relationship between a father and a mother. Because as a child grows, they learn some of these things from their parents, like how they conduct themselves. A child can tell if the father and mother love each other. If they keep fighting, a child can tell, as long as they are from 3 years and above. They observe. And once they observe, it's like installing a new software in a computer. They keep learning. They keep taking how they're behaving. The mother does this. Like gender roles, that is when the child starts to learn gender roles. It's easier for a child to tell the mom, I'm hungry, than to tell the dad, I'm hungry. Because they know the mom can provide food.
Food, yes.
Yeah. But if it's something like a toy, it's easier for the child to tell the dad, if you go to town or you go to work,
Buy me this.
buy
toy.
me this.
It's true.
You hear children saying, my father can beat you, my father will beat you, my father is the strongest man.
Yeah.
So kids keep learning from that point. And if violence comes in the family, whether physical violence, emotional violence, or even verbal, just talking, a child can tell if the father is aggressive. They know. The language at home, that is where they start learning these things. And then, in parenting, there are some experiences like divorce. Divorce can affect children, but in most cases, it does not end up being a traumatic situation. But when there is physical violence, like battering, father and mother fighting, that one can have an adverse effect on the child and can become traumatic. Especially when a child is seeing someone they love is suffering. like their mom, for example. Most children are attached more to their mothers.
Absolutely.
And then you are here fighting your wife. The child can see the mom is crying, mom is suffering. And this is someone they know, they take care of them. This is someone they love. So it ends up having an adverse effect
And
in their lives, and it becomes a traumatic
absolutely.
situation.
Absolutely. So, on the aspect of physical battering, let's say, for instance, domestic violence, yeah,
Yes.
like you've mentioned, kids will sit and observe,
Yeah.
and let's just look a bit on the implications. You know, someone is probably watching and wondering, like, how does this imply now on the child when they grow up? For instance, you'd have cases where someone is finding it very hard to form a relationship.
Yes.
It's because like they saw
Yeah.
what the dad was doing to the mom back then, and that vision,
Yeah, it's still there.
it's still
raw.
there, right? So what are some of these ways in which this trauma manifests into their future lives and then ends up being something that is toxic to them?
So, the effects, or I can say the consequences of experiencing trauma as a child, there are some effects that are they are long term, and some you can already see. Like, for example, as a child, they go to school, they fight other children.
Yes, they're bullies.
Yeah, they become bullies. Sometimes they don't even talk. They just go to school, they keep quiet. No one knows what goes on in their mind. Sometimes they manifest aggressive behaviors towards other people.
Other people.
Not only the children, but even other people. Like when they're playing, they always want to take that aggressive role. And most of them are not assertive in nature. So they either become aggressive or passive. Passive in that they cannot express themselves clearly, they cannot have a stand, they just keep doing whatever they are told because they are used to being suppressed psychologically, physically. This starts from home. And mostly teachers can already tell. And then there are other effects like when now people progress from childhood to puberty, you know, that is now the point that you start seeing a lot of things. Their personality traits start becoming clear. They start identifying themselves. So it will create a conflict. Whatever I went through as a child,
Yes.
and now here I'm growing up. I'm supposed to be responsible. And these things keep creeping back in my mind. For example, like domestic violence. A girl who has been seeing the father beating the mother, or maybe their sister or the house help. Because some people beat their house helps until children become traumatized. Because it is also evident children spend a lot of time with their house helps. So, in teenagehood or during adolescence, such girls, they don't want to form relationships. They don't want to be in relationships because they feel these are the same men who will start beating us. And then for the men, a man can become so aggressive. They end up committing more violence. Sometimes
Because that is what they know. That's what they think a
that's
man
what
is.
they think is right. That's what they see their fathers doing, their uncles, maybe their brothers also. And then they go into behaviors that are more aggressive, which end up to be criminal activities.
Sure.
Yeah, because you know this is the point where now you are becoming an adult. You need money to get a new phone, for example, and there's no other way out. You end up committing crime because you are now aggressive. Everyone knows you are tough.
It's in your nature now.
Yeah, it becomes toxic masculinity now. And then for the females also, you can see they become toxic in their relationships. They cannot trust men. They cannot be responsible maybe if they have children. Or they start using drugs. They become addicted and such sort of things. And then it becomes worse when they meet the same kind of peers.
People. Yeah. So it becomes a circle of.
Yeah, maybe in high school or university, people come with different experiences. from different backgrounds, and they feel, oh, this is the normal everywhere. This is what people go through. So it becomes worse. And that's why we have a lot of issues in the society.
It's true.
And then it affects their reproductive health, their mental health. And remember at this point, speaking of our context in Kenya, there are no jobs. The friends that you have are just like you.
But
You
all
have
of you
no
are jobless
Exactly.
together,
Role models,
are no longer there.
they are no longer there, or maybe your parents are your role models already. You have seen whatever they have caused. So, stress, trauma, depression, and all these things that come with mental health effects, the negative effects. And that's why we see the effects like suicide, addiction, dependency on drugs, and such things. So it is a process that leads to something that is not so good in life. The effects are not good. If someone cannot be able to deal with them, especially during adolescence stage,
It becomes
it is
difficult
something that becomes difficult for them
ahead to
deal.
change.
Yeah, as adults. So
And
an intervention is always necessary.
It is always necessary.
Yes.
Okay, speaking of interventions, now we want to dwell a bit on now some of the possible avenues for solutions. You know, for instance, for instance, I know of someone who's gone through sexual violence when she was young, and I also know of a guy who also went through the example you gave of the maid.
Oh, the maid, yeah.
Because your maids, if you know you're a guy and maid at home took advantage, I'm telling you, that is a big serious issue.
and it's so common.
It's so common, and men were the hardest to talk about when it comes to this
just
thing.
talk with your peers, especially men. They'll tell you
These
where
things,
they first had their sexual debut.
debut,
Yeah, the first sexual encounter mostly is in the household.
and that just affects how you view sex, even when you in future,
Yeah.
your relationships.
Yes.
Even those who try as much as they can to build relationships, they have no understanding of how to properly do that. So, what are some of these ways in which we can maybe try alleviate
And
some of
find
these
solutions for
Yeah.
such cases.
Yeah.
One of the way is okay. Like let me talk about now the person who underwent the trauma. Most of them try and they struggle to find solutions for whatever the experiences they went through, because you can imagine it keeps coming up.
Yeah.
And it's something you don't want to be on denial, you want to accept it and move on. So most of them try and find an activity that can make them not to think about what they experienced. And you find most of them are talented. Musicians, footballers, artists, and they'll try and express it through their art. Someone can be a poet, you'll find one piece that even if you listen to it, you can question, did this person go through this? So, those ones who are creative, they'll always find something creative to do that can avoid this situation that keeps popping up in their mind. The other intervention can be, and even those ones that I've talked about, they still need to be intervened. Like they need someone to talk to, someone to express, and someone who can listen. Listening is very powerful.
Yeah.
When it comes to healing. The other thing is, we need counselors, people to talk to. It can be a religious leader. Some of our religious leaders are so good, they have been trained on how to provide counseling.
Sure.
Not all of them, but some.
Some.
Yes.
In our context,
it can be a teacher. And this is where the government comes in. Ministry of Health needs to empower guiding and counseling teachers so that they can, because teachers can always detect that this child is not okay. From that lower level,
yes.
they can always tell, even from the performance. So teachers can always tell, but the capacity of teachers to intervene mostly is always shaky because the government has not invested in training teachers. Find guiding and counseling teachers, they'll choose a madam because she's soft-spoken, she loves children,
Yes.
she listens, which is good. So they need to be built, their capacity needs to be built. I know a number of NGOs are trying to train teachers so that they can provide these services to these young people. Professional counseling, unfortunately, but it is something that is working so well in Kenya right now. Previously, we had not taken mental health so seriously.
Yes.
It's very hard to find a family going to a counselor as a family to find someone to talk to and try to intervene the issue that they're having at home. So family counseling is very important to help parents deal with such issues. Because even caregivers who are not parents can cause childhood trauma. You remember when you were young at school, the way we used to be beaten,
Hey,
like mob justice.
bwana
just because of
unapigwa.
pain. Yeah,
Sometimes you get beaten and you don't know what you've done.
exactly. And you go to your mother. she takes
You don't
back.
know. You
know,
get
these
beaten
days-
by the teachers. You go tell your mom beats you more.
Exactly.
Your dad gets home, is beating.
Yeah. The teacher says this kid is rude. He wants to fight me. So the government has done well. Ministry of Health has improved on that. Cases resulting from it used to be called corporal punishment,
Corporal punishment.
have reduced significantly. Because those days we used to be caned.
Hey,
I still remember, I'll not mention the name, but I remember.
mwalimu tunakujua.
Hey, I'm still traumatized when I think about that experience because I was slapped. I'm wearing these specs not because I was born short-sighted, but it was because of a slap. I was
They slapped the eyes.
I could not see
I'm
for
sorry.
like 3 hours,
I'm so sorry.
and they were saying I was pretending. Up to today, my eyes are affected, so I don't like. If you meet me, if I do anything wrong, don't slap me.
Please, wherever you are, do not slap Karuga.
Slaps.
He has
still
had
affect
enough.
me. So
I'm
we
sorry
need
about
counseling.
that.
I was at counseling, so counseling is very much important. And then we have other avenues which used to work so well, like in our religious practices. If you're a Christian, a Muslim, those are support systems in the
Sure.
society
Absolutely.
that can help. It's only that these days we are seeing a bit of confusion, but we still have good people who can help out there. The other thing is traditional avenues, like talking with wazee, the aunts. We still have families which practice their customs so well that can be able to solve a lot of issues in the society. And that's why we used to go to shags. You listen to stories from your grandfather. They help. They help. I can also say, before it reaches to medication, it is something that is so severe and it affects mental health in an adverse way. But when medicine comes in, that becomes something else. So there are still ways to solve these situations.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we also have support groups.
Yeah,
Sometimes
coming in together,
Support groups.
trying to
help.
share.
Group therapy. I don't know if they're still there, but I remember I used to go for group therapy because of the things that we think are small. You cannot find a job. You go share, say, my name is Karuga. And then they say, hi Karuga.
Hi
You remember those
Karuga,
things?
welcome.
Yeah, we make fun of them, but they really help.
They help. I
So
know.
we need support groups that are group therapy. You go share your issues, and they'll help you to overcome.
A bit. I want to divert kidogo too, on men. Some of these childhood experiences we are going through have made the boys not to become men. They're still in that cocoon of that childhood experience, and they feel like they cannot easily come out. Maybe let's talk a bit about men, especially in Kenya right now. Juu saizi wanaume, I don't know what to say. It's bad.
Yeah,
It's bad. Like when I sit with friends and when I sit with guys and we sit down and we talk, you find a lot of negativity,
Yes.
a lot of issues that coming in. You know, when fathers, like for instance, I usually tell my friends, there's something about dads, the old school dads, and the way they used to treat us. And how best can we talk to the boy child right now and talk to them and just try to understand, like, whatever you went through doesn't have to be what happens to you in future.
Yeah. And that's why I earlier mentioned about the traditional practices. It was a good support system because you could find maybe your father one day, Sunday afternoon, sit outside there and ask you, do you have a girlfriend? It sounds awkward at that point.
Yeah, you
But
get all sweaty kidogo.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, dad,
That
what's happening?
conversation
It's good.
It's very important. Sometimes even not your father. Because a story of mine, I once went to check out on my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Those days when I was trying to date.
Sure.
And the father was a soldier, ADF. Then I opened the gate. The dad was seated outside there. And I went to check out on the girl. So I was scared. Then he said, just come in, my son.
Welcome,
Kuja,
welcome.
Kuja, kuja.
Yeah.
Let's take it. Man, I'm telling you, I was sweating.
I could only imagine, man.
Like it was writing a composition, I could say I was trembling like a leaf on a windy day.
On a windy day, like a chameleon on a frail twig.
Yeah, it was scary. But I sat there and we started talking. Say, so how is school? I can see these days you have grown. I'm very sure he didn't know me. But he was saying you have grown, you're becoming a strong boy. Do you play football? What do you do? What do you plan with your life? All those sorts of stories that men should talk. Like, do you see yourself having a wedding maybe in future? Yeah? And making jokes here and there. Like
those dad jokes with the laughs.
I can give you my daughter over there. How do you see? She's the one who has prepared this tea. And
She
I was
cooks
like,
very
no, I don't want a relationship. No,
I'm playing it safe.
I just want to finish school. I become a pilot. And I was like, no. At one point in your life,
You will need this, yes.
you will need this. See? And he was telling me, I want you to become a responsible man like the way I am. You see, that was not my father. That was the father of someone that I was trying to, you understand? But it really helped me. Because at that point I was scared, but I felt comfortable. I took him like my dad. So these conversations, they help. And one thing that we really need to do right now is, how can we bring those traditional practices or those moments where we used to pass our values, especially family values, cultural values, to fuse with the present, where technology is the in thing, social media, memes. Because a lot of these things people learn, they either become so aggressive or passive because we still have an opportunity from media, social media, and even channels like this one. Like, I also talk to the young people that I try to mentor so that they can emulate these positive values in our society.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So thank you for that, Kevin. And I just want to say that, would you like to finish off with just a short parting shot to maybe someone who's listening, they've experienced a childhood traumatic experience, or maybe it's even a child, who knows, a teenager probably stumbled on this channel. What would you advise them in simple terms?
What I can advise them is, let me start by advising the caregivers. Like, we should always look at our young ones and try to understand them, empathize with them, and knowing that this thing can affect them in the near future, in fact. And the ones who are going through this trauma, it's always good to express yourself. Find a way. There's always an opportunity to express yourself and let these things off your chest. I know these are things that are happening. We cannot help everyone right now, but there's always an opportunity that someone can take so that they can try and help themselves. So it's good to talk. If someone talks to you, listen. Listening helps a lot. My advice is always listen to people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kevin. So for all those who have watched our channel, thank you so much. Always subscribe, because that is the best way you can be able to get all our content. Hit that bell icon so that you get all our notifications on new episodes that are coming up. Remember, if you went through something traumatic in your childhood, you can come through it. You can be able to actually be better and live a full life. Don't see yourself as stuck. That's why we are trying as best as we can to give you this information through some of these opportunities we have, like YouTube channels and the likes. So go out there, and we hope that at the end of the day, you will be better and things will look up for you. So thank you so much, and we hope to enjoy.
And we have some merchandise.
But of course,
Yes.
new t-shirts, looking nice. As you can see, we have, currently we have the black, and we have whatever color this is.
It's maroon.
It's maroon.
Yeah, it's
We
No,
you
not
know how
orange.
Dudes
Yeah.
and colors, man.
Yeah, it's maroon.
So maroon and black, we have that. So if you're interested in purchasing some of this merchandise just to support us, let us know. And we'll be giving you more and more merchandise as we continue, because we feel like we want to connect with you a bit more. So definitely watch that space as well.
Yeah.
And then before we forget, Chicken Baristo is hosting us for
Yeah.
episodes.
Second season. Yeah.
So we are at Chicken Baristo, Nakuru. It's just next to Rift Valley Sports Club. You can come here for your best meals. They have the best pizza.
Yeah,
We just had pizza right now. I'm feeling nice.
The shakes.
And shakes, my goodness. The juices, everything is good. So you want to come down to Chicken Baristo. Nakuru is where we are at. This is Kenya. For all those, of course, watching from all over the world.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you guys. See you soon. Bye.